Hey guys, what is going on? My name is Ryan Chambers. I am the host of Starcastic Remarks, and you are watching the after game review for game number 78 against the Calgary Flames. Stars lose by a final score tonight of 4-2 in a game that they played better in, but they really, really needed the extra point tonight, and they just didn't get it taken care of here tonight. Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and bring Chris and James in. They're both back here tonight. But before we get started on anything, guys, we want to thank DraftKings Sportsbook for being our sponsor. You got the promo code up there in the top right hand over there above Chris, THPN. Go and use it the next time you go and use our app. Chris, you're like our Vanna White up there, going across like that. Those of you that are listening on the podcast side, Chris is like Vanna Whiting the top of the thing. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to be funny because I'm just upset at the outcome of this game. What's y'all's initial thoughts coming out of this game tonight?
I don't feel funny. My initial thought is that the Stars played a great game for being on a back-to-back and playing such a good team, and they deserve to win. And we get screwed over by three of the luckiest goals I've seen in one third period. None of the guys who scored were trying to score. None of the three goals in the third period for the Flames were they trying to score. And it's 3 goals. First one goes off of actually that one went off Heiskanen. That doesn't count. He wasn't trying to score. Well, he was trying to score, but he missed wildly. Christopher Tanev, does that bounce off him, or does he shoot that one off Glendening? I never went back and saw the replay.
I think it went off Glendening.
Yeah, it went off Glendening, and it looks like it was actually Nicholas Backlund, who scored the goal. But
and then the third goal is a pass that went in the net. It was a pass.
Yep.
I mean, those are 3 of the luckiest goals I've ever seen. And then the other thing that I thought of was the Stars blew their chances. They had a great first period and they couldn't score. It should have been 2-0 after the first, honestly, and they just can't do it.
I didn't really
one more stat before I give it over. In the past 6 games, the Stars have not scored more than 2 goals. Most important time of the season, and there's no offense
per game. We should say, just 2 goals over 6 games would be even worse.
Yes,
but yeah, the fact that they've only been able to score 2 goals in a era of the NHL where scoring is going up, and we're seeing these 9-3 games, 8-1, 7-2 games like that. You're not going to win games very much when you only score 2 goals. So, James, did you see anything in particular that you didn't like or did like or whatever?
Just that it felt like we played a better game than then, and we didn't really execute as much as we were hoping on our chances. They got some lucky ones, and with the way the Stars play, if the other team gets lucky, we lose the game. So
that's true.
And that seems to have been happening a lot lately, especially when it comes to these Stars games. Because, you could say that we got outplayed against the Oilers. Definitely got outplayed against the Oilers. But even in the Vancouver game, the Stars had their chances, and they just weren't able to bury them. And here's another game tonight where it feels like we were the better team, and there's been multiple of these games. Like I can think of a specific Nashville game where we lost, and I felt like we were the better team. There was a game against the Wild where the Wild won in overtime, and I thought we were the better team. And here tonight, for the majority of the game, I thought the Stars were the better team, but they're just not taking care of their opportunities. And I'll go back to it because something that's been frustrating me is the power play. They scored tonight on their one good power play, and it took them 6 seconds. But the rest of the power plays I saw tonight were just completely irrelevant, and they were not very good at all, period. It was absolutely horrible. And, literally, as I'm saying this, I'll pull up Alex's comment. The power play was absolutely horrible. The one power play goal they got was a solid play off a face-off. Didn't get the puck set up for longer than 10 seconds, and even when they did, it just rimmed around the wall. Yep. That's exactly kind of what I saw as well. What do y'all think?
Yeah, it was useless. I mean, it kind of makes sense because we took out 2 guys who are on our power play, which I'm sure we'll get to that in a second. But it makes sense, but it can't be acceptable either. I mean, and it's been like that for the entire second half of the season too. So nothing new.
And just as Chris mentioned the stat, we've only gotten 2 goals in the last 6 games, and there's only been 3 goals from depth scorers, and we actually got one in this game. We've had 11 goals total in 6 games, 8 from the first line, 3 from everyone else.
That's insane. That's what, 60%?
Not good enough.
No, that's higher than 60%. What is that?
Yeah, it's
70?
70, 80. But you're talking, and what's even worse is there's 1 goal from Sagan, and then there's 1 from Raffle and 1 from Glendenning. That's our depth scoring right now. So, and especially in a game against the Flames where they're going to put their best defensive guys on your first line. It's an away game. You got to have someone else step up somewhere, and got none of that. Got one goal tonight. That's the best it's been in a long time.
Yeah, literally. That's better than most for the past 6 games. Moving on just to the pregame talking points. Boy, were there some. I mean, out of nowhere, Frederick Karlstrom starts the game, which is crazy. The Russians are benched, which we've kind of talked about that maybe being a possibility, and especially after the game last night. I mean, you had to do something. So I'm kind of with Bones on this one. Like, I don't know if it was exactly the right decision because it also handicapped our power play, but I'm glad something happened, What do y'all think about that?
Especially on the night of a back-to-back, I don't have a problem with that at all. I mean, they looked bad in the game yesterday. You're only going to expect them to be worse with them being tired. Sure.
Yeah.
Pull whoever you
the
want.
other thing I was thinking too, like, honestly, I'm of the mindset, like, if you're on a back-to-back, you might as well switch out your fourth-line players, too, just to get fresh legs. So that's another reason why I thought it was a good idea. Any thoughts from you, Ryan?
I personally liked it. And I know that Frederick Karlstrom, it was his first NHL game and everything like that. And, I mean, he had a couple of chances, and he didn't get a ton of playing time tonight, but his semi-breakaway-ish led to the Stars' second goal. So it's not like he was unproductive tonight. I mean, that alone, makes him better than more than half of the Stars' forwards as of late, who have been scoring nothing. So
he was good. He wasn't just. Yeah. He was good. Well. He played 7 minutes, the lowest of anyone on our team. He had 2 great chances, and one of them ended up in the back of the net. He played good.
Now,
moving on from that, we're going to start my segment. Wait, sorry, do you have something, Ryan?
Yeah, I want to bring up Alex's comment because I think this is an interesting talking point. Something has to be going on off the ice because there is zero reason to play Kiviranta off Gurianov. I personally don't agree with that there's something going on off the ice. Gurianov just hasn't been very good. And let me rephrase that. Well, no, he hasn't been good.
No, don't rephrase that. That's perfect.
But he it's the thing is with Gurianov that it's not just offensively that he's been bad. It's been defensively as well. He's turned the puck over at both blue lines in his own zone and in the offensive zone. We've seen there have been some times when he's on the power play and he turns the puck over and it leads to go the other way. So, you can't make an argument to put Kiviranta in for Gurianov because it's not like Kiviranta is doing much better, but there is definitely a argument as to why Gurianov was pulled out, if that makes any sense. What do y'all think?
Yep. I mean, I absolutely agree with that. I think that's what me and Jen were talking about. So
yeah,
I agree with the statement that Kiviranta is not much better because he's really not. I mean, he had no shots on goal. He can't play the power play. He can't play the penalty kill. But, I mean, it's better to at least send a message after the last game. So
yeah, I mean, and Gurianov, I mean, we're talking about he's good offensively. He has 1 point in the month of April, and it's an assist. So
yeah,
he hasn't been good offensively recently either, and he's been bad defensively always. So there's no reason to keep him in the lineup.
And if there's anything that's going to get you benched quicker, it's being bad defensively with Rick Bowness as your head coach. And so let's just be honest right then and there. And I mean, it's even to the point where a rookie, Frederick Karlstrom, is getting into the lineup over 36-year-old Alexander Radulov and a former 20 goal scorer in Denis Gurianov. That's That says a lot about what Bones is thinking right now and how hacked off he is right now.
And inarguably one of the biggest games of the season. That's pretty nuts. But moving on, let's get into biggest winners, biggest winner, biggest loser. Go biggest winner first, guys.
Biggest winner, Ottinger. Ottinger was very good tonight. Sorry, I got jelly beans in my mouth as I'm trying to talk. But he don't make fun of me and my jelly beans, James. That's all that smart.
No, I like the bring them back. We should have snacks every time now, just all the time.
Well, I've actually got some right off camera over here. I've got 2 bags of pepperonis, some Starbursts, and like a quesadilla. So I got a lot of food over here. But anyways, going back to my point. Ottinger was very good tonight. He looked a lot better than he did in the game against the Oilers. And Monday. Who do we play Monday?
Vancouver,
thank you. And then the game against Vancouver. And he looked much more solid. And for some reason, he had Elias Lindholm's number tonight. I mean, Elias Lindholm is one of those 3 guys on the top line for Calgary. And there was about, I'm not joking, 5 or 6 grade A opportunities just for Elias Lindholm alone. And Otter, had his number and was able to save every single one of those tonight. So seriously, and like y'all said, the goal, especially Chris, what you said, the 3 goals that kind of went in. Oh, we don't count the last one, but the 2 goals that went past Ottinger. I mean, those were fluky goals in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
and the first was a penalty.
He was the best. He was the best player on the ice tonight for the Dallas Stars. Gave them a chance to win.
Yep. I'm giving mine to the rookie, Frederick Karlstrom.
Oh.
He played 7 minutes and scored. There you go, Alex.
Yep.
He has half the ice time, less than half the ice time of my biggest losers, and he did so much more good in that amount of time. Go ahead, James. Who's your biggest winner?
I was gonna say Karlstrom too. I mean, you come into the lineup. This is really like it's your you come up, you get 1 shot. That's basically what he's given here, and
he took advantage of it.
And he took advantage of it. He has a great game. He gets a point in it, and he looked competitive when he was on the ice.
Yep. All right. Biggest loser. Before I get into mine, y'all got to go first.
Because Chris is going to go off here, I feel like. I don't know. Dumb luck. Can that be the biggest?
Sure.
That's essentially what my biggest loser is going to be. I'm going to go biggest loser Ottinger, not because he played bad at all. And this is my favorite thing to do with biggest losers. I pick the people who just get unlucky. He had an amazing night, absolutely stellar night, and
great save. And all 3 periods.
3 goals get scored on him. Like, what the heck? It's unlucky, so he gets the biggest loser card.
All right, and my biggest loser, who I alluded to earlier, is going to be Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin, because they were awful. They were absolutely terrible. They finished the night. These are their combined statistics for the night.
Oh,
they are a -6.
Ooh.
They have 3 shots on goal all night long. They have, it's only 2 penalty minutes in the most important time of the entire game. Jamie Benn takes a high-sticking penalty.
Yeah.
And their face-off percentage is below 50% combined.
Yeah, that'll lose you the game, especially when your second line is like that.
Yeah. That is so in the biggest game of the season, when you're trying to make a statement and come back from a horrible showing last game, and your 2 most veteran core guys on the team who make the most money of anybody on the team, and it's definitely not deserved, show up with that performance, and you look on the ice, and it doesn't look like there's much try from them either. I mean, did you see them make any big plays, any great big forechecks? Did Jamie Benn make his physical presence known this game?
Well, right before he took the penalty, I thought he was too aggressive, and that's what led to the penalty that he took. In my opinion.
Well, and it's terrible, and it sucks because you go back to the Stanley Cup playoffs and they lose, and you see that awful video of Ben just in the locker room by himself, just distraught because he lost on his best chance to win a cup.
His only chance, maybe.
And we talked about how terrible it was to even have a camera in there. And, like, that shouldn't have even been covered. Like, give the guy some space. But, like, maybe that's a good thing that that's covered because maybe he needs to go back and watch it and, like, see what happened. Because right now he has another chance to give himself a chance. And he's totally blowing it. I mean, both of them are. I don't know what these guys think is going to happen. I don't know if they even care if they're committed to getting this team into the playoffs anymore since they're not the core guys. But, I mean, it doesn't look like it. And they have to figure out a way to help this team. I mean, we've talked about that all season. 2 highest paid players. They're defensive liabilities this game. They have no offense. They didn't have a great chance all night, honestly, in my opinion. And the Ben penalty at the end of the game destroys any hope that we had. I mean, they're the biggest reason we lose the game, other than dumb luck.
Well,
I'm done.
No,
Fancy.
you went on one of my epic rants like I do sometimes, but everything you said makes sense, Chris. I wouldn't go as far as to say that like they don't care or anything, but it does look like that they're lackluster in what they're trying to do, and that. I mean, I know Jamie Benn gets blamed for that penalty, and he definitely 100% should. Sorry, and that was a big turning point in the game. But I'll go back to the bigger turning point for me. The beginning of the third period. You can't allow a goal in the first 20 seconds of the third period when you were the better team in the second period.
I mean, that goal is not a goal. It's a penalty. I mean, Haston gets cross-checked in the numbers, and it goes off him and in the net. Like, what's supposed to happen there? I mean, what else does Haskinen do?
And I guess, like I said, dumb luck. Dumb luck is the biggest loser tonight. So,
like, and who's on the ice for that play, by the way? Who lets that shot get through the point? I'll give you a hint.
They get paid a lot of money.
They get paid a lot of money. It's Hagen. So,
oh, man.
We should have won this game in spite of them, and they find a way to lose it for us because they really did.
Well, and the most staggering statistic for me that you said was the fact that it's -6. And you and I both don't like plus minus when it comes to, over periods of time. But in a single game like this, you're on the ice. I'm assuming they were each on the ice for 3 goals against each. They were both -3. I'm not looking at it in front of me right now. But that's a very bad telltale sign that they're defensive liabilities.
And the worst part is they're not playing against the Flames' offensive players. They're put out there against the lower lines, and they still can't keep the puck out of their own net. I mean, what are you supposed to do? Who are you going to play them against?
Fourth line, I guess.
Honestly, I'd rather have Karlstrom play against those guys. I don't think he'd give up as many goals, honestly. And he definitely has more chances.
Question for both of you here. This is because this is popping into my head. Are Stars fans looking at the wrong people to be frustrated with? Because a lot of people are putting the blame here on Rick Bowness. But the more that we talk about this, and the sudden realization that comes to me is, he's trying. Rick Bowness is trying all these different combinations with different players and different things and stuff like that. But I mean, like stuff like that with Ben and Sagan, that's not Bones' system. His system is defense, and they're not paying attention to the defense. The one thing that he wants them to pay attention to, I'm starting to think it's more on the players than it is Rick Bowness, and we're looking at the wrong place right now.
We're not talking about Rick Bowness because I'm tired of talking about him, and I know it's not going to change this year. Overall, it's still his fault. I mean, honestly.
It's his job to
benching the 2 players, while in your mind it makes sense, like, oh yeah, those 2 guys have been bad. On paper, it killed our power play tonight. That's what it did. We had no power play, and I think a large part was because of that. And we just played ring around the rosy with whoever we wanted the entirety of the game. We had, how many different players played on the power play? Almost everybody. All but 2 forwards played on the power play for us.
Karlstrom and
he handicapped the power play. That's not a good decision. So while the sentiment is right, he did it wrong. So I still think he's not a great coach. I'm just so tired of talking about him because he's all we talked about the first half of the season. That being said, in the system that is set, Ben and Sagan still sucked the most in that system, and they have to play better in it. I agree. But it doesn't mean that Bones is absolved of any kind of fault, because he's still at fault too for the way that this works out.
And I'll agree with you on that, but I think that we're putting too much of the fault on Rick Bowness, because I mean
Nope.
the players are the ones that are taking care of business here, and at least in these last 3 games on this 3-game winning streak, they haven't been taking care of business. And like you said tonight, it seems like there's always a different guy that's not taking care of business. Like for the past 2 games, 3 games ago, I was singing the praises of Jacob Peterson, and all 3 of these games he has not looked very good through this 3-game losing streak. And then tonight it's Ben and Sagan, who
broken clock is correct twice a day, right? And like the other thing to remind you that he's so bad, we have 3 very great offensive defensemen. None of them are producing this year, just randomly. Just all happened at once. That's just a coincidence. Bones has nothing to do with that. No, he doesn't. We have no scoring from 3 of the best offensive players the Stars have had in forever. Not a coincidence. I mean, and our defense, which we're so praised for, that he focuses on so much, we've dropped off by like 12 spots. We are 16th in the league in goals against.
Yeah,
we are not a good defensive team.
Yeah.
So, and if that's the thing he focuses on, then he's done a terrible job at it.
And one thing that I'll mention about Peterson too, Ryan, is even though Peterson hasn't looked great in these past games, he's not letting in goals.
He's not -3.
He actually isn't minus at all. He has +1 in the past 3 games he's played.
Yeah.
So he's not a defensive liability at the very least. So
compared to Ben and Sagan.
Yeah, that's true. It's just a thing with Peterson that I've noticed, is that he's been turning the puck over a little more, and maybe that's just because I'm noticing it more and I'm watching him more. Kind of like I was watching Klingberg a lot at the beginning of the season and all the turnovers he was doing. But that's a good point. Thank you for pointing that out, James.
And that is one thing that I'll give you about Peterson. He does turn the puck over, but the thing that he does is when we get into the offensive zone, he goes and he knows where he's supposed to sit. He goes and sits in front of that net, and if any puck goes to him there, he's going to try to sink it into the back of the net every single time. He's not going to pass it. That's not what he does. And that is one thing that I actually was I was paying attention to Peterson a lot earlier in this year. And the thing that I was scared about the most with him was his defensive play. And he in the defensive end, he really has stepped it up recently. And yeah, his scoring has dropped off recently, but he's not a liability anymore to me.
All right, good discussion, guys. A lot of frustration, a lot of feelings that I think a lot of Stars fans are feeling right now. So, good topics there. Are we ready to get into the game summary real quick?
Sure.
Let's get into this real quick. So, just so that y'all are understanding here, I didn't take as many notes as I normally do because I was doing the watch along on the THPN YouTube channel. So I didn't have a ton, but anyways, just right off the bat, shots are 3-1 in favor of Dallas right off in the first 2.5 minutes. There was a good save by Otter on Shillington. Stars would go on the power play. It would be Lindholm, and that would lead to 4 penalties in 56 seconds, which we'll mention them here more on. There's a 2-on-2 for Calgary. A good shot, good save by Otter there. Hintz would take a penalty to end the Stars power play. Suter takes a penalty right after that and trips Yarncrook. And then 13 minutes remaining in the first, there's a post by Calgary. There would be multiple posts hit by Calgary in this game tonight. And then Backlund would take a penalty. And then I've never seen this ever in a game. I really haven't. It's 3-on-3 for 6 seconds. Never in my life have I ever seen anything like that. Have y'all ever seen anything like that before?
I have not. I don't remember anything, but that was crazy. And what's even crazier is all 4 of those were definitely penalties too.
Oh,
like,
yeah, 100%.
they were good calls.
Sagan in front. Markstrom made a good save there. Peterson would have a chance and a shot. Nothing there. Great save by Markstrom on Klingberg. He makes a good windmill stop to kind of put some momentum against the Stars there. Shots are 10-10, 5 minutes in, or 5 minutes remaining in the period. And then there was an opportunity for Hintz, and it was a wide open net, and again, Stars can't seem to hit the wide open net, and they miss it. And then it looked like Hintz was tripped by Markstrom, and there was no call on that one. So another obvious penalty that I thought was there, and they didn't call it. Harley turned the puck over. There's a big hit by Lucic. Stars power play to end the period for too much man. And I wrote Stars power play sucks, and it gets killed at the end of the first period. At the end of the first period, it's 0-0. What do you think about the first?
We should be up 2-0. I mean, honestly.
Common Stars narrative here. We best them in the period, end with no goals.
Yep.
And it's not just this season. It's been multiple seasons over the past couple of things. Fox would have a chance with a tip to begin the second period. Markstrom make
Did it go in?
Save. Nope.
It didn't?
Nope.
Fox didn't score?
Fox doesn't score.
Wow.
Fox doesn't score.
That's crazy.
Sarcasm from Christian tonight. Pavelski with the chance, a good save by Markstrom again. Mangiapane on the backhand, didn't get all of it, but Otter makes a good save. Stars would go on their fourth power play, 13:30 remaining, too much man. And then Fox would take a penalty with 2 seconds remaining in the power play, so that negates that power play. And Fox gets called for goaltender interference, which I didn't think it was a penalty. What did y'all think?
If that happened to Otter, I'd be pissed. So I think it's goaltender interference. I think Markstrom definitely sold it and leaned into it, but I still think it's a penalty. You got to slow down.
Well, continuing on, Otter had a really good glove save on Elias Lindholm. Like I mentioned, he had Elias Lindholm's number all night. It was a 2-on-1 by Calgary there on the power play. And then finally, the first goal of the game was scored by Matthew Tkachuk, his 40th of the year. He stuffs it home off of a rebound. It's just a simple play in front. It's not an amazing shot. He just kind of throws it through Otter and through his legs. So 1-0 Calgary at this point. What do y'all think?
Good power play.
Yeah.
That penalty kill.
That's one I kind of wish that Otter had not given up. I would like him to keep it that one, but I also understand because there was nobody in front to help Otter there. Defensemen were more preoccupied with other things going around in the zone. And then right after that goal, Calgary is pressuring the Stars for a second goal right off the bat, almost immediately. At this point, the shots are 18-14 in favor of Calgary with 8 minutes remaining. Stars would go on the power play, and I thought this power play was really important for the Stars because it allowed the Stars to get some momentum back after giving up the first goal. Because if there was no penalty on that play, I think the momentum would have continued for the Flames, and this game might have been even a lot worse. So,
agreed.
But after that, the Stars would go on the power play. It's a cross-checking penalty for the Flames, and Pavelski would score off of a tip, Robo in front Robo off to the side with the shot. Of course, it's Pavelski who scores. What do y'all think of the goal?
Actually, Robertson ends up with the goal. Pavelski did not tip it.
He didn't. Okay, so I thought it was not my bad. So it's Robertson, and he gets closer to 40 goals. Do y'all think he makes it?
I hope so. If he doesn't get 40 goals, we don't make the playoffs. That's my prediction.
Him or Hintz. Either one can make 40.
Either one.
And just by the way, that's goal 100 for line number 1. They have scored more goals than the entire rest of the team combined.
Wow, that's insane. Oh, that's ridiculous. Anyways, right after the goal, the Stars start pressuring for the go-ahead goal. They get a 2-on-1, no shot. It's Peterson and Karlstrom, and it was a good play by Karlstrom. I understand what he was trying to do, but Peterson was not reading his mind whatsoever. Going the opposite way, there was a 2-on-1 for Calgary, and it was a great save by Otter on that. And I wrote this with 5.5 minutes remaining in the second, and I really believed this. And I wrote, Dallas looks fresh, and Calgary looks tired. I thought they looked really good, especially after they scored that first goal, their first goal. Lindholm again gets robbed by Otter. Markstrom with a great series of saves on Foxa with a big, strong left pad on Foxa. And again, Chris.
Foxa didn't score?
There you go.
Inconceivable.
No way.
Inconceivable. Tyler Toffoli would hit the post, and that was the third Calgary post of the game at this point with 2 minutes remaining. and we would go into the second intermission 1-1. Overall, in the second period, I thought it was the better period for the Dallas Stars, even better than the first period. And Stars are only, they give up the first goal and they're only able to tie it. So what did y'all think about the period in general?
I thought this period was actually a lot more even, and this is when it really started feeling like that playoff intensity. So I enjoyed the period and enjoyed the game up to this point too. So
right off the bat, going into the third period, Hannafin would score off of Miro Heiskanen. It bounced off Miro Heiskanen, and like Chris said, he was basically cross-checked.
He was cross-checked in the back, not basically. It was a penalty. But since it's the NHL, those count.
Yep. And it's 2-1 Calgary's, unfortunately. And that's like the absolute worst way you could start off a period, especially when you've been struggling. You haven't gotten any points on this road trip, and they're down 2-1, and now they're chasing for the rest of the game, apparently. Kiviranta, I got to give him props. He had a good defensive stick play there right after that, about a minute and a half later. 15:40 remaining, shots are 25-19 in favor of Calgary. Toffoli got robbed by Otter after Otter bailed himself out. It was a bad pass from behind his net, and he barely got that. And at that point, it would have been 3-1 Calgary had he not made that save with his stick. And we talked about this right before coming on air, guys, but if we're looking at it from Steve Dangle's eyes, is it a hat pick or is it a dang it? What do y'all think?
Well, it's definitely not a dang it because it didn't go in.
Yeah, it's a hat pick.
It's a hat pick because of the positive outcome that happened. It was a
he caused it, but it's still a hat pick.
Anyway, right after that save, bailout, whatever you want to call it, by Otter, where he bails himself out, Glendening would score off of the rush out after Karlstrom would get a semi-breakaway. Karlstrom gets it on net, and Markstrom is not able to cover the puck. Glendening with a wide open net, he takes care of it, and he ties the game 2-2. Glendening with the goal there.
First of all, how was there not an arm in the air already for a penalty shot before Glendening even got the puck? Because there wasn't. There was going to be no penalty on that play, and I would have lost my mind.
I would have been mad too.
But luckily, Glendening scores the rebound.
And I mean, I didn't get to watch that much of the first or second, but it seems like this fourth line that they have set up with Peterson, Karlstrom, and Glendening had some good chances tonight. At least, definitely, they didn't look bad. That's for sure. I mean, they
were definitely better than the second line.
Yeah.
There you go. And we're learning.
I saw your face. I knew what you were going to say.
And that's and maybe this line clicks a little better than some of the other lines. So we'll see. I mean, this is maybe my one bright spot from tonight.
Yeah. Dallas would take a penalty at 10 minutes remaining in the third. It was Calgary power play, and it was actually Miro Heiskanen who would take the penalty. And I'm thinking, oh crap, here we go. I really thought that we were going to let in a power play goal at that point, but we wouldn't. However, Goudreau would hit the post, and Elias Lindholm would get a chance during that power play. Otter stole the ice away from Lindholm and did not allow him to get a good shot off. He made a great series of saves there. Stars kill it off. Shots are 29-22 in favor of Calgary, so that shot differential getting even larger as we go through the third period, which I thought Calgary was the better team in the third. Honestly, that was me. I'll go ahead and let y'all talk about that, though. What did y'all think? Did y'all think the Stars were the better team, or did you think that Calgary deserved this game because of their play in the third period?
I mean, Calgary definitely controlled the majority of the third period. That's partially due to penalties, too, though. And the other part is because they're playing their sixth period in 48 hours. They were obviously better. Their shots on goal for the third was 13-4, which is not good, but honestly kind of expected. But, I mean, even so, all three of their goals in the third were the most garbagey goals you can imagine. So
let me reflect some of your statement. Why should that be expected that the Stars get outshot 13-4 when they should be coming out even stronger? And you know what? I don't care that this is the second game of a back-to-back. This is the end of the season. I mean, Vegas could very easily take our spot now. Now it looks like Los Angeles is going to be able to hold on to that third spot in the Pacific, and we go into, I expected to lose the games again, like one of those games against one of these teams the past 2 days, but I expected them to win one of those 2 games, and we ended up losing all 3.
Honestly, the reason that you just said could be put the exact other direction. Like, of course, it's the end of the season. Everyone's broken and everything. I mean, I think you can't expect a good third period. What we should have gotten was a productive first period and had 1 ounce of luck in the third, and we would have won the game. So I just think it's not fair. That's just.
You think I'm being unfair?
Yeah, that's like a physics thing. Like, you're tired if you're playing your 6th period in 48 hours. There's nothing we can do about that. There's no secret sauce inside of you. We don't have the Michael Jordan stuff. So, yeah, that just happens. But we should have won this game from the rest of the game that we played, is what it is.
I mean, and you're talking about, like, this second night of a back-to-back, but you played the freaking Edmonton Oilers last night. Yeah, that's a fast team that you have to keep up with there. Like, these are 2 very tough teams to play against alone, and you had to play them back to back. So,
yeah.
So maybe I should be
back to back set of the season.
Yeah, and maybe I should be complaining more about the Vancouver game then. That's a game we should have won. So,
we definitely back to that one should have been won.
Yeah. Anyway, to finish out this game, guys. At first, I thought Backlund would score and make it 3-2 Calgary, but it was actually Chris Tanev. Again, just bounces and random things happening for Calgary. They go up 3-2, and Klingberg would take a shot, and he got robbed twice by Markstrom in this game. Stars would take
so good this game.
Do what?
Markstrom was so good this game.
He played a very good game. He did. Stars would take a penalty, and like we mentioned, that was. You can't do that. You cannot. You have to be aware of what your stick is doing, especially this late in the game. And again, I know you're tired, but that's one of those things that if you're trying to get your team some points at the end of a road trip like this, you got to be aware of that sort of thing, and you can't take that kind of penalty.
Even if he was the last guy, it would be better to give him a breakaway than to take a penalty there. I mean, it's laziness, it's idiocy, and it's just flat out not thinking.
Lindholm would get another chance, but Otter would again stone him. He just had Lindholm's number, like I said. And then Mangiapane would get the empty net goal to make the final score 4-2 tonight in the game. So, unfortunately, the Stars go 0-3. They get no points out of this road trip. And now before we kind of wrap this up tonight, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at the standings and just double check and make sure that the Stars are indeed in control of their own destiny at this point.
I've already looked at it. Okay, you don't have to look at it. We need 7 points. 7 points. We have 8 points left. We need 7. No more losing to any of the bad teams we have left. It's not allowed anymore. Because if we do that and then Vegas wins out, we're screwed. Okay. And then we still have to play Vegas once. We have to play Vegas on Tuesday. Or it's Tuesday.
It's
Tuesday.
It is Tuesday.
And now that becomes we have to get to overtime, at least in that game. Because if Vegas wins, the end of their schedule is just as easy as ours. The other 3 teams that they're playing are not hard teams. It just comes down to Tuesday. It comes down to Tuesday.
And we need 7 points because the maximum number of points that Vegas can get is 97. And then they would hold a tiebreaker, so we have to get 98.
We can't tie. It doesn't matter if we win the other 3 games and lose in regulation in the Vegas game. If Vegas wins out, they get it. Doesn't matter.
And the number one thing is we have to beat Vegas. I mean, that's what it is.
We don't have to beat Vegas. We have to take them to overtime.
No,
you can't give them a point. You can't give them a point.
I mean,
you can give them a point.
If
we take it to overtime and win out, we technically win. But we're not going to win out with the way we're playing right now. So that's why I'm saying we have to be Vegas. We're not going to take 4-4.
Yes. And that's sad that you're saying that, considering the other 3 opponents the Stars are going to play is Seattle, Arizona, and Anaheim.
Well, that's why I know we're not going to win out. That's what we know we're not going to win. We're playing worse teams, so we're going to play down to them and be like, oh, this will be easy, and then we're going to lose. So, yeah, we have to be Vegas, is what it is. And I don't know who's Vegas is even playing next.
Vegas plays San Jose on Sunday, I think. Yes.
And that's the second night of a back-to-back for San Jose. So that's a likely win for them.
And then they play us on Tuesday. And then they have to play Chicago on Wednesday after they play us on Tuesday. By the way, we also have back-to-back Tuesday, Wednesday. We have Golden Knights.
Back-to-back.
Yeah, we have Golden Knights, Arizona. And the Golden Knights have us in Chicago. And then the last team they play is St. Louis. They can win that game. St. Louis is already in the spot that they're probably going to be in. They're not going to be playing hard on that game. They have no reason to play hard on that game.
They might bench players in that game.
I almost guarantee you they bench players in that game.
Okay, guys, I'm going to have to ask the question because I don't want to, and you'll probably know what I'm going to ask. Can the Stars do it? Can they do it? Logically, what are you thinking? Because
logically,
emotionally, I'm saying no, because the way they've been playing and the fact the history of the Dallas Stars and what they do. They trail out and
lose the last game of the season.
Right, exactly, against the Minnesota Wild several years ago. But logically, I'm also thinking no.
Logically, I'm saying yes. The Stars are playing against easier opponents. They should beat Vegas, is what it is. I mean, we're a better team than Vegas right now. I mean, honestly, I just went and looked at the season series. Series is not good.
The only bright side we have right now is that Vegas is not playing very well right now either. That's the one plus we have, is that both us and Vegas, neither of us won that spot apparently.
Yeah.
Neither of them look like
both teams are limping to the finish line. And the Preds too, all three of us, and the Kings.
That's true.
I mean, it's the most lame playoff race in the world.
Oh man, it's still a playoff
ever happened.
But at the same time, it's interesting because for a while there, it looked like Vegas could get as the third seed in the Pacific Division.
They still could.
They still could, but it's less likely now that Los Angeles has won a couple of games.
Not really.
Now they're looking at the wild card spots again. Is what
LA Kings is 92. They're 1 point above us. We win one game, and they're the next team that goes out.
They're playing tonight too, though, and they're playing the Blackhawks tonight. Currently, they're up 2-1 with 10 minutes left.
And that can change it. Just that one game too.
Yeah. So, James, I need to know your thoughts. You didn't say anything. Can the Stars do it?
I'm going to say yes, purely because, Otter was freaking spectacular tonight, honestly. Coming off of the Vancouver game where, it looked like he didn't even know where the puck was the entire night. He was absolutely incredible tonight, in my opinion. Based off of that, I feel like as long as we play Otter, I want to play Otter. I don't want to play Wedgwood. I know he's been good, but I think he's finally off the high of being on a new team. He's gone kind of mediocre in the past 2 games that he's played. He hasn't been bad. He's gone average. I really think we need Otter to be able to be the number one goaltender that we really, really need right now. And tonight, I feel like
I said just last podcast, last episode.
And tonight, I really feel like he did that. And I feel like if we trust him enough, if we trust him for the rest of the season, we can make it.
Start him every game. We're not saying Scott Wedgwood. We can't see Scott Wedgwood. Otter needs to play all 4 games, including both games of the back-to-back. Don't care. He's gonna.
And right now, all the Stars games in hand evaporated. Poof, they're gone.
Games played. That's it.
Games played 78-78. We technically have 2 points over Vegas, but it doesn't even really matter because if Vegas wins out and we win out, Vegas gets the spot. Well, if we win out other than losing to Vegas, Vegas gets that spot. So even if we win out, other than the Vegas game, we could still be out of the playoffs.
Yeah, so that Vegas game is beyond important.
It's the most important game of the season.
It is going to be the deciding game of the season, probably.
I mean, we're keeping Hawkeyes on every game that Vegas plays. We're going to be San Jose fans on Sunday. Then we're gonna be Chicago fans on Wednesday, which sounds awful.
And I'd rather root for those teams than the Stars right now. Oh my goodness!
They have a better chance.
They have a better chance than the Stars of winning.
Better chance to keep the Stars in the playoffs than the Stars do right now.
And that's sad. That's really
unbelievable.
Sad. Man, we're totally.
Ben and Sagan better figure this crap out. Ben and Sagan better figure this crap out. They have to help.
4 games, please. They got it. They'll be fine. They'll
Shut up,
James.
We hope they don't.
Shut up, James.
They have to. And we were on this boat the entire time in the bubble playoffs too. They have to give us something, literally anything. At least don't hurt us, because that's what happened tonight. Like help her at least get out of the way. So.
Oh man!
It comes down to them, honestly, and it's their team. It still is their team, and it's their era of Dallas Stars hockey, is what it is. And it's coming to the end, and it's their turn to decide if, honestly, I think if they're like hung in the rafters or not. Because right now, with the lack of success that this team has had compared to what it should have had on paper, I mean, I'm not putting them up there. So they're going to define what their era of Stars hockey was like, and I think a lot of it can come down to these 4 games. So we'll see.
Anything else?
We're not looking for that first wild card spot anymore. We're purely trying to hold on to ours.
Honestly, though, one game completely changes that. Like,
I mean, it
Nashville's
purely,
playing a lot better now, though.
Not really. They're 1 point ahead of us.
I mean, really, I don't think we're going to catch
2 points, my bad.
I mean,
I don't think so either, but still, that's how crazy the end of the season is. Anything is possible.
Yeah, that's fair. And Nashville still really does have a really hard schedule. So
they have the hardest schedule out of all the teams that are on the bubble.
Tampa Bay, the Minnesota Wild, they have the Calgary Flames, and their last game is against Colorado. So they're only playing top of the division teams. So they still could miss.
Only playoff teams. Yeah.
That's stupid.
Yeah,
That's great.
The Preds could miss.
Oh my goodness. They have 4 games against top 2 in their division teams.
And we don't have any, and we feel like we're going to miss the playoffs.
Oh man, this is so stupid. I hate this.
Man, I hate this feeling right now.
Yeah. If this is like your first Star season, like, welcome to it. This
bless
is it.
You. Yeah. Bless your soul, man.
Bless your soul. All right, guys. So that's going to do it for us here tonight. This has been the after game review for game number 78. Stars lose to the Calgary Flames by a final score of 4-2 in a game which the Stars play better, but they still are not able to take advantage of their opportunities. And Otter plays a great game here tonight. Please go and check out StarcasticRemarksShop.com for the first phase of our merchandise options. Lots of cool stuff out there. That's the best and most direct way you can support us and what we do with this podcast. Thanks again to DraftKings as well for being our sponsor. Go and use that promo code THBN. Chris, point to it before we leave. Use that promo code THBN. And next time you go on the website, on the app or whatever, and we're in the middle of a lot of sports seasons going on, so we really appreciate it if you can go and do that. And along with Chris and James, my name is Ryan. This has been Starcastic Remarks. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. Hope you guys have a good, fantastic evening, morning, afternoon, whenever we're listening. Have a good night, you guys. We'll see y'all later.